Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the Aural Theory series. My name is Dr. Julia Alford. In today's video, we are going to do a harmonic dictation practice using the German Augmented 6th chord. If you did not already watch the lesson and you don't fully understand the German Augmented 6th chord, please pop below and go back one and watch that lesson. If you're brand new to harmonic dictation, I highly recommend starting at the beginning of the playlist. Okay, so here's our dictation. It is 9 chords, B minor, and it starts on Do in the bass and Me in the soprano. Again, we're using movable Do solfege, so our tonic is B and Do is B. Okay, so we're going to give it a listen. We're going to do 2 listenings to just do a sketch of the bass. I'm going to try and do it as best as I can on the screen so you can kind of watch my process if you want, but do grab yourself a piece of manuscript paper or something on your tablet, or just even like just draw some lines on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. And follow along. So you want to have your measure sketched out, a little line for each chord. And again, we're going to do 2 listings for the bass. It's probably going to end up back on Do. We'll just write that in right here, probably either here, maybe up here, or it could be way down there, although that's pretty unlikely. Okay, so let's grab 2 listenings for the bass. And again, this is just a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of getting an idea of where things are going. And then we're going to do some mapping, and then we'll dig more into the voices and the chords. Okay, so you'll notice that I was just drawing some arrows kind of for the direction of things and getting a sense of which direction I'm going in. I did hear a cadential 6/4 there at the end, so I could sketch that in here. Again, the cadential 6/4 is just sol, sol, do. We know we're going to have the Augmented 6th chord as our predominant because the video is about Augmented 6th chord. So what does that have in the bass? It has lay in the bass. So we could go ahead and sketch in lay, or the 6th scale degree that is found in minor. So if you're in major, you'd have to lower it. It's just natural in minor. And we stepped up to that, or we at least went up to get to it. Let's do one more listening. I'm actually not going to fill everything in because I want you to keep kind of thinking about it, but fill it in on your paper and then we'll go from there. Okay. Okay, cool. So it ends up back on that B in the staff. We would call that B2. Okay, so next, we're going to listen for quality. First, and I'm going to slow down a little bit even more, I just want you to mark down, is it big M for major, little m for minor? You could do dominant, D for dominant, or a triangle, kind of whatever you want for dominant, and then a circle for some kind of like diminished or really crunchy quality. So let's do that for this next listening. So you're just listening for chord quality. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. If you can, at the same time, try and think about at the beginning, is it tonic expansion or is it something else, like our alternative opening feeling? So like, does it go like 1, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 6, or is it just like a mix of 1s and 5s and 5, 7s? And see what you think there. Okay, and we actually know, we'll go ahead and mark this in. So for our map, this is tonic. This is cadential 6/4, so this is our dominant area. We know this is gonna, I mean, we're doing a video on augmented 6th chords, so we know that this sounds dominant, even though it's not a dominant chord, but it has that major triad with a minor 7th on the outside feeling, even though on paper that's not how it's spelled, but that's how it sounds to our ears. And it has lay in the bass, so we're going to assume that that is the augmented 6th chord. So what we don't know is there another predominant before that? And is the opening tonic expansion, or is it something else? And kind of what's the quality of these chords at the beginning? Is it major? Is it dominant? Is it minor? Where are we going? What are we doing? Let's take one more listening and see what you can fill in. And I'm not going to write anything more on this paper because I want you to be thinking it through, backing up if you need more listenings. And then when you're done, we'll go ahead. Okay, so one more listening there for chord qualities, mapping, that general stuff. Okay. So give that a listen, back up if you need more listenings. Let's go back to the bass and grab that. Okay, so we're just going to do one more listening for the bass. You've already had a couple goes at it. Hopefully you have a pretty good sketch, and check out your answer. I will tell you there's this big leap down at the beginning. So what is that doing? And then what does it go after? How low does it go? How do we get back to lay, to sol, sol, do? All these questions are before you. Okay, and if you're going back in that dance between quality and bass, that should be helping you out too. And there could be chromatic pitches. I will tell you actually right now, there are not in bass, no chromatic pitches. So just worry about where is it going, what is it doing? Okay. Back up and get more listenings if you want. We're going to take a look at the answer. So it's leaping down to sol. That immediately tells me that we have tonic expansion. So if it's going 1 to 5, it's at least starting with a tonic expansion. And then it's stepping down. So 1, 5, do, sol, fa. That's interesting. May. Okay. And then it's going back up to fa, and then to lay, sol, sol, do. Now let's think about chord qualities. Before you do anything, write in the actual solfege syllables. It's going to be helpful for you when you're thinking about what chords could be where. So we have tonic expansion. 1, this is a 1 chord. This has to be some kind of a 5, the second chord 5 or 5, 7, right? Can a 5 go to a 4 chord? No, not in classical harmony. Can a 5 go to a 2, 6 chord? Not in classical harmony. So it has to be going to some other kind of 5 chord. What 5, 7 chord has, or 5 or 5, 7 chord has fa in the bass? A 5, 4, 2. So this has to be a 5, 4, 2. And where does the 5, 4, 2 have to go? It has to go to another 5, 7, or, but with May in the bass, it has to go to a 1, 6. Okay. Now it's going to fa. That then goes to a German 6. You're not usually going to get a 5 going to the German. It's more likely going to be a 1 or another predominant. You can get like a minor 5 subbing in there, but that wouldn't have fa in the bass. Okay, so, and it's leaving up. So this chord has to be our first predominant. So the fifth chord. So tonic expansion is the first four chords. Our predominant section starts on the fifth chord. So your predominants are those two. So the fa has to be a 4 or a 2 diminished 6. Now we have not talked about the 2/7. Okay, so I'm going to pencil this in case your teachers are working on it. We're not getting that far with my students, but in minor it would be half diminished 2/6/5, and that is a possibility for here. I actually consider putting it in for this progression because it would fit really well with the voice leading, but I decided not to. So that's that. But so that could be an option there, and then we know that we're going to go to the German Augmented 6th, obviously, because this video is about that. And then this has to be some kind of a cadential 6/4. It could either be, it might be an 8/6/4 to 7/5/3. So with your quality listening, when we come back to quality, you're going to want to think, is this major or is it dominant? Okay. And then we're going to end on the 1 chord. We just know that. So we'll just go ahead and put that into the space. So let's go on and listen to the soprano. So 2 listings for the soprano. Again, if you need more, you can just back up the video. It's a recording. We start with May in the soprano. So let's listen for that. So some oblique motion. Let's take another listen, see if you can pencil it out, and grab more lessons if you need to. Okay, so I made some marks there. I'm just thinking it through. Let's go ahead, back up again if you need to. Let's take a look at the answer. 1 second. Okay, so it's going down to C sharp, and then it's going down to A sharp, which is a little bit unusual. That will make more sense when we look at the whole thing, and I'll kind of talk about why that works, voice leading wise. So then the A sharp has to go up to B, right? T has to go to do, especially when it's in the outer voice. And then we're going to go down, and if we think about the 4 or the 2 chords, so the 4 chord is E, G, B. So if it's going down, it's probably going to that G, and it is. So the 2/6 would be C, E, G. That actually doesn't help you a whole lot because we wouldn't, just voice leading wise, again, I need to make a video about all the voice leading rules, but voice leading wise, it's not very likely that if the bass is moving up by step, let me actually change the color. If the bass is moving up by step, it's not very likely that the soprano is also going to move up by step, going to the predominant. So typically from the 1 to the 4 or the 1 to the 2/6, diminished 6, you will have contrary motion between those. So it is much more likely that you're going to get the outer voice moving against the inner voice and going from that B to the G. Okay. And then we have to go to the German Augmented 6th. Remember again, just to zoom in, the German Augmented 6th is lay, do, may, and fi, which is going to be E sharp, in the key of G. So it is really helpful to spell out these chords, these pitches, because then you can kind of figure out, okay, I know I'm going up. I have to be going to one of these pitches. If you've identified that that is the German 6, it has to go to one of those voices. So the G has to go up, or it's going up. Here's one of those things where the voicing is actually kind of tricky. So you will sometimes get that similar motion to the B. Okay. And then we have oblique motion. So to our cadential 6/4. So that's, if you think about it, it's the spelling on the first half of the cadential 6/4 is the 1 in second inversion. Let me actually zoom out again so you can see that. So 1, and then that's going down to our A sharp, stepping down to the A sharp and resolving up to B. Okay, let's do one more listening. And what you have to decide is this chord here a 5 or a 5/7? We know everything else. Is this chord here a 4, a 2 diminished, or a 2 diminished 6? Again, if your teacher has already introduced the 2 7s, you're also listening for, is it a 2 half diminished 6/5? Then you're also listening for does this last chord have a second to last chord have a 7th on it? Okay, so when we're listening for chord qualities, you're going to grab those and see if you can tell what it is. Get more listens if you need to. We're going to move ahead. So I'm going to show you the answer in 3, 2, 1. Here you go. So one chord to just a triad, 5 to the 5/4/2 to the 1/6. So we have here this voice exchange. So the A sharp is going up to the C. The C goes down to the A sharp. We call that voice exchange. Basically, when the voices switch places, it tends to happen when you've got like one chord to the same chord or like a similar chord, especially with 5 chords kind of playing around with that, where that T is going the leading tone. And then 4. Okay, so that minor chord here, so that first predominant, augmented 6th, and then we do have that dominant sound for the second half of the cadential 6/4. That E natural that's a courtesy accidental, so you don't have to worry about that. You wouldn't have to worry about notating if you were notating all 4 voices for some reason. Okay, so with that showing, let's take one more listen. Cool. So sounds good. There's one more thing I want to talk about. I'm not going to do another dictation, but another way that you can get into this progression is through mode mixture. So this progression here, it's an A flat major. Just threw in an alternative opening at the beginning. So it goes the 1 to the 3 to the major 4, and then we added the mode mixture with that F flat. A flat, of course, is everything is flat, A flat minor. So we just add flats to everything, whether they like it or not. So you get the minor 4, going to the 4/6. That's a nice smooth, again, voice leading, getting into the augmented 6th chord, to the German, and then the cadential 6/4 going down to that, back to the major 1. You'll notice that I left the minor sound on the first part of the cadential 6/4, partly just so it doesn't sound too shocking coming out of the augmented 6. But the labeling stays the same when you're notating this, all part of the 5, the dominant area. Let's listen to how that sounds. Easy enough, right? So that's it. So you're going to go do more practice. My students are going to go do their practice in Aurelia. Please do hit that subscribe button if this helped you. Share me with your friends. Click the like button. Anything you can do would be just really helpful. Leave me questions, comments, video requests, lesson requests, anything that you think would be helpful for you. And next video, we're going to get to the Neapolitan 6th chord, or the flat 2-6. That's it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and take care.